Let's talk about vertical angles. And these vertical angles are created when two lines intersect. The pair of opposites angles are vertical angles. So every time two lines intersect, we have two different pairs of vertical angles. Let's take a look. So if I have this line and this line intersect, then I have this angle and this angle are vertical. Those two red angles, so to speak, are vertical. And the two blue angles are vertical angles also. So when two lines intersect, I get one pair and then two pairs of vertical angles. And so, couple things about vertical angles is, first of all, that name vertical is kind of a misnomer. Has nothing to do with being up and down like a vertical line. It just means that they are opposite when two lines intersect. And something else you'll notice is they are exactly the same size. They are what we call congruent angles. They are congruent, which is an equal sign with a tilde on top of it. That means they are the same size and shape. So they're both angles, and they're both the same size. And so those two red dotted angles are congruent because they are vertical angles. Vertical angles are always congruent to each other. So the blue dots also form a vertical angle pair, and those two have to be congruent to each other because they are vertical angles. Now, be careful. Just because two angles are congruent to each other, then that does not mean that they are vertical. Those two angles are congruent. I know they're congruent because I just copied and pasted one angle and got the second angle. So those two are congruent to each other, but they are not vertical angles because they are not formed by two intersecting lines and the angles opposite each other. So we have to have two intersecting lines. So if I have this line and I want to know which angle is vertical to this, well, the only choice is the one opposite it, and you will notice that it is the same size, aka it is congruent. So vertical angles are formed when you have two lines intersecting, and it's the angles opposite it. Do you see another pair of vertical angles there? Why, yes, this angle and this angle are vertical angles to each other, and those two angles are congruent to each other. We say they are congruent to each other, and if you remember, the symbol for congruent is an equal sign with a tilde on top of it. That means congruent, which means they are the same size and shape. They are both the same angle measure, and they are both angles. They are the same size and shape. And that's it.